I've dreamed of being on the moon many to several times. I've been on the moon, on the surface, looking at the Earth. I've been in a space station running through it on the moon. I've been on the Earth looking at what I thought was the moon and watching it rolling and coming closer to us. It's about to crash into us. And once it gets close enough, you realize it's not the moon at all. It's the fucking Earth. We are on the wrong Earth. And it's about to plow right over us. Wow. Destroying both of us. Just so that we cannot continue. That's heroics, hero. But the other night I dreamed. I'm sure it was 3 to 4 hours long, this dream. It won't take that long to talk about it. I'm just gonna hit the points because, you know, in real life, things happen that you don't even need to think about after it's done. I mean, how much you gonna think of me after I'm gone? Makes perfect sense. But I dreamed on a moon that was terraformed. You could walk around and breathe the air, outside, inside. There was nothing that had to be done. It was just living on the moon. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And there I'm talking, in it, the president of the CEO book club, Hallam, he was in it. I don't know why he would be on the moon with me, but I like the guy very much, and I would take a trip to the moon if he wanted to go. I'd go with him. We share books. But, so that means you can at least talk about things. You can communicate. And he's there, and at some point, somebody had been telling me that we were leaving tonight or tomorrow, and I said to him, are we going back? He said, might be tonight, might be tomorrow. And I said, I don't want to go back. And he said, well, it might be 6 weeks. And I said, all right. So I had 6 weeks in mind. That's great. 6 weeks on the moon, that gives you some time. I mean, think of what 90 days and 30 days in solitary does to a prisoner. It gives you some time to think about stuff. 6 weeks. And so I'm there, and there's the pool right out there on the patio. There's a living quarters that we all have, like an institution of some sort, but there's a swimming pool there, and I was like, I want to go swimming. And I said, I know I brought my trunks. Every time I travel, as much as possible, I try not to forget, and I'm very good at this, I have my swimming trunks with me. Doesn't matter where I'm going. You never know when you're going to go swimming. And so many times it's like, ooh, I never expected to be swimming here. And so you got your swimming trunks. And I ran into my room, my little cell, my quarters, and I'm going through my stuff. And I pulled them right out, right where I left them. It's just like real life. And I got my swimming trunks on. I had been walking around naked for a while in my room. And there were other people there, but I had my swimming trunks, you know. And I just, who are all these people? But, you know, if you're going to go live on the moon, you never know who you're going to run into. Never know them at all. And so I go out, got my swim trunks on, jump into the pool, into the water, and I'm going under the water, and it's not hot, it's like tepid. Lower edge of tepid. It felt good. And I was in the water, and I came out, and I said, ah. And there's some woman standing there, and she says, how can you do that? Isn't that cold? I said, it's a lot better than where I come from. I was just so excited. And then we went over by the barbecue, and president of the CO book club was at the barbecue there, and he opened up the thing, and there were a couple other people there, and opened up the grill, the cover, and there was like a rack of lamb, not really, but dreamlike. It was there, and I'm standing there, and they're cutting up. I said, can I cut it up? And they said, okay. And so I got it, and I started cutting off the ribs, and in my mind, in the dream, you realize how often you see things in a dream and you consider them, how they're going. You see you're talking, even sometimes you can change the results of your dream, pull out the hammer from behind your back that you knew would be there because you needed it. And you said, there's a hammer behind my back. And you reach back and you pull it out of the back of the belt, and you're like, ah. If I had a hammer and I happened to be a cop, Wally Pleasant. That's my Wally Pleasant impression. But this is me inside my mind when I took and started cutting these things, and I thought, well, here's a joke. And I thought of a joke inside the mind of my dreaming individual. I was there. I was complete. I said, this reminds me of when I worked in the restaurant business. And they said, oh, yeah? I said, yeah. And they didn't know that I was culinary. Yeah. And I said, yeah. They acted surprised by that. And I said, every once in a while, we would get in a good rib shipment, and we'd throw it all out there, and people would eat it right up. They're like, oh, you cooked ribs before? I said, yeah, you might recognize the name. It's called the McRib. And I said, working at McDonald's, that was a joke. But evidently, they didn't get it any more than you did, because they just looked at me. Yeah, I'm a culinary artist working at fucking McDonald's. And by the way, I never once in my life cooked a McRib. They fired me before those came out. And so that was that. And then next thing, I'm standing, things are going on, but then I was standing, it was dark. Couldn't see the sun. And I was like, I am on the dark side of the moon. Standing outside, just standing on the dark side of the moon. Looking at a place that isn't throwing light directly on us in a way that we notice. You don't generally get melanoma from starlight. And then the next morning, I was out walking. I was walking along this goat path, and there was some kind of animal came out, rah, and these brittle stars, like underwater, those that get the dead octopi. Oh, the octopus. Life feeds on life, you know, the brittle stars, they'll get them. They were there, but it wasn't underwater. They were just, they came rolling out and they got this animal, and it was like, and it was a big animal. It was like one of these dangerous ones. I don't know if I should have been afraid of it or not, but the brittle stars took care of them really quick, like piranha. And I finished my walk into this little neighboring village type of thing. And there were people out in the morning. They were doing their shopping and stuff, and there were people in the streets. And there were these gypsies came up to this woman who was just this highfalutin. She had her baby stroller. It was like 3 wide, but she had a baby in the middle and shit piled up around it. And she's all highfalutin. These gypsies came up to her, and she was like, and she did her highfalutin thing to her where she did not accept them as human beings. And they turned and they looked and they turned around and they dropped, and all these brittle stars crawled up into the baby stroller while the woman was walking. And we know what they did. So this is like a 3 or 4 hour dream. I woke up a couple times during it, looked at the clock. I can't tell you what time it was. And went back to sleep and continued sleeping. But really think about that part where I came up with a joke in the dream, where I was in my own head, where I was in the dreamers, this avatar of myself. I took control of not just the motions, but the thoughts. It was me. I was there. That is taking lucidity in a dream to the point where we can understand why sometimes we don't know whether this is a dream or reality. It's taking lucidity to the point of reality. Who would you really be if who you became is the person that you woke up as after dreaming what you once were? Could you take the things that you'd done wrong and the things you'd done right and evaluate them from the past dreaming state and make it all work better for yourself in your new reality? Not asking, I'm just wondering. So I told Victoria about the dream while I was talking to her, and the next day time, like first thing in the morning, because I'm one of these guys, I'll tell you my dreams if I can remember them. And if you've seen enough dreams of me killing Jason and Freddy Krueger and not being able to kill Leatherface, then you'll find that I'm probably not one of the most boring person to listen to telling you a dream. There's a lot of shit goes on. There's a lot of considerations that are meant to be taken. We're supposed to learn from this stuff. And I've let you inside my mind. But so I tell her about that. And today, she comes out and throws this at me, a whole packet full of things, and she says, "Why didn't you tell me you were going to the moon?" I thought she was joking, but there's a NASA Federal Credit Union. I got something in the mail from them, and it's very interesting. She went on to talk about how just in the last week, before I even had the dream, I hadn't talked to the kid. I hadn't heard the story about the kid, but the kid told her about how he wanted to become an astronaut so he could go to the moon and take Grandpa Judas with him. I don't know if he's going to leave me there or what, but what a hell of a place to go. I've always wanted to go to the moon, and the way I understand it, from dreaming so many years before I ever scuba dived, of breathing underwater and everything, that when I did scuba dive, it was exactly like my dreams. I know if I ever surf, then it's going to be just exactly like the dreams, because you feel it, you learn it when you're dreaming, you know. Dreaming is for learning without having to worry about the guy behind you going, well, aren't you going to fucking get it right? What's right? He said he wanted to take me to the moon. And the thing is, she kind of had to remind him. I know that's why that came up. But last summer, the kid and I, we were talking about writing a story about him being a space guy, an astronaut, a paleontologist on the moon. In the dream, he decided to become an astronaut too, so he could go to the moon and look things up. And in the dream, he was taking me. I stowed away in the story, I mean, that we were to write. And he has me fighting aliens on the moon. I don't know why I've always got to be fighting. It's because I can't keep my mouth shut. But then she's like, why didn't you tell me you were going to the moon? I see, she's kind of joking, but I'm going, NASA Federal Credit Union. I said, this might be the thing. I said, I need to join these people. They might have a contest that you can go to the moon. When they start doing moon travel, I'm going. I don't care if I have to stow away and pretend the kid is an astronaut, paleontologist, archaeologist, whatever the hell you call it, space traveler. But I open it up, and there it is. Welcome to Soaring Yields. They got a picture of a rocket taking off, and over here it says, did you know NASA Federal has I'm reading it backwards, has a participating with the has a partnership with the National Space Society. And there it is. I was like, holy crap. And as it turned out, inside there, it's I'm part of a credit union that I've been with for years. I have a small savings account with them, and every once in a while they will send me information about it. And I have never once gotten anything from them calling themselves NASA Credit Union. So here I am. I'm going to the moon. And she thought that I'd always been part of that credit. She thought it was a joke or something. I don't know how she felt about it, but going to the moon, Alice. To the moon.